Queen Elizabeth II reigned for 70 years. She owned one of the most extraordinary tiara collections in recorded history. And yet, hidden inside that collection, sitting in their cases in the dark, were pieces she barely touched. Some of them were among the most historically significant pieces in the entire royal collection. Some had been worn by the women she loved most, and still, she left them in the vault. Today we are looking into the tiaras and the reason for why Queen Elizabeth II refused to wear them. Let's begin. This tiara has one of the longest journeys in the entire royal collection, and at almost every step the woman who owned it chose not to wear it. In 1857, Princess Mary Adelaide of Cambridge, a granddaughter of King George III, inherited a collection of diamond jewels from her aunt, Princess Mary, Duchess of Gloucester, 20 diamond crescent shapes and 3 diamond wild roses. She brought these to Garrard and Company, who in 1871 assembled the crescents into a formal headband. By 1882, the roses and crescents had been joined into a full tiara with 2 rows of diamonds along the base, and the Tech Crescent tiara was complete. The construction is entirely in diamonds, set in gold and silver. 3 wild roses sit at intervals across the band, separated by 20 graduated diamond crescents. Each crescent is detachable and can be worn as a brooch. The piece was reframed by Garrard in 1901 and again in 1937, when the 2 base rows of diamonds were removed to modernise the design. Princess Mary Adelaide wore it through the 1880s and 1890s. When she died in 1897, it passed to her daughter Queen Mary, who was never photographed wearing it. She was by that period building the most imposing tiara collection in royal history, and the delicate crescent piece did not suit her preferred scale. She passed it to her daughter-in-law, Queen Elizabeth, the future Queen Mother, in 1936. The Queen Mother wore it on a small number of documented occasions, including a state banquet during the royal tour of Canada in 1939, before it faded from view after the war. Why did Queen Elizabeth II refuse it? When the Queen Mother died in 2002 and the tiara passed to her, Elizabeth had reigned for 50 years. The Tech Crescent was intimate, modest in scale, and had almost no public profile. It had barely been seen since the 1930s. Elizabeth's jewellery choices were always purposeful. She wore pieces that framed her face with calm authority, that read clearly across a ballroom, and that projected continuity. The Tech Crescent did none of those things. It was too small, too quiet, and too historically dormant to serve any role in her public wardrobe. Rather than wear it or display it, she found a practical solution. She loaned it. According to Sir Hugh Roberts in The Queen's Diamonds, Queen Elizabeth II loaned the tiara to Camilla, the then Duchess of Cornwall. The only confirmed information about its current location. Neither Queen Elizabeth II nor Queen Camilla has ever been photographed wearing it publicly. A tiara assembled in 1871, reframed twice, passed through 4 generations of royal women, and is still waiting for its moment. We begin with a tiara that Queen Elizabeth II did not exactly refuse, but wore so rarely and under such specific circumstances that its single public appearance feels less like a choice and more like a reluctant obligation finally met. The Oriental circlet tiara was designed in 1853 by Prince Albert, consort of Queen Victoria, as a gift for his wife. He drew inspiration from the Mughal architecture of India. The soaring arches and lotus flower motifs translated into 17 interlocking arches, each crowned with a lotus flower. The piece was crafted by Garrard and Company, the crown jeweller, and was originally set with opals alongside approximately 2,600 diamonds set in gold. After Albert's death in 1861, the tiara passed to his daughter-in-law, Queen Alexandra. Alexandra had no use for the opals. She was deeply superstitious about them, as opals were widely considered unlucky in Edwardian society. And in 1902, she returned the tiara to Garrod with a specific instruction: replace the opals with Burmese rubies, gifted to Queen Victoria by the ruler of Nepal in the 1870s. Garrod's royal ledger still records the transaction. Several arches were also removed to reduce the tiara's size. In 1936, the tiara passed to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who made it one of her most beloved pieces, wearing it for her 50th birthday portraits by Cecil Beaton in 1950 and in portraits taken just before Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953. It became so associated with the Queen Mother that her daughter allowed her to keep wearing it long after she became queen. When asked why she hadn't reclaimed it, she reportedly said simply, "Mummy will give them back." The Queen Mother never did. She wore the Oriental circlet until her death in 2002 at the age of 101. Why did Queen Elizabeth II reject it? By the time she inherited the circlet in 2002, she was 76 years old and her tiara wardrobe was long established. The Oriental circlet, extraordinary as it was simply redundant. She already had the Burmese ruby tiara, her own commission from 1973 for ruby occasions. She had the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara and the Vladimir tiara for grand state events. The circlet had no gap to fill. More quietly, it was her mother's piece in a way that felt almost territorial. Elizabeth had watched the Queen Mother wear it for decades. Reclaiming it aggressively, even after 2002, would have felt like an erasure of a memory she preferred to preserve. The Oriental circlet, valued today at an estimated $8 million, was worn by Queen Elizabeth II in public exactly once, at a state banquet at the Grand Master's Palace in Malta on November 23, 2005. It was never worn by her in public again. Its next appearance came in December 2025, worn by Catherine, the Princess of Wales, at the German state banquet. Queen Victoria's will reportedly stipulated it should only ever be worn by queens and future queens. When it finally reappeared, it was on exactly the right head. If the Oriental circlet was worn only once, this next tiara was something even more striking. It was never worn publicly by Queen Elizabeth II at all. Not in 70 years, not even once. The Strathmore Rose tiara was purchased in the 1920s from Catchpole and Williams, a London dealer, as a wedding gift for Lady Elizabeth Bowes-Lyon, the future Queen Mother, on her marriage to the Duke of York on April 26, 1923. The gift came from her father, the Earl of Strathmore and Kinghorn. It was crafted in England in the late 19th century. The 1920s purchase was of an already antique piece. The design is entirely in diamonds, an all-diamond bandeau featuring 5 rose motifs in descending size, the largest rose at the centre, with diamond leaf sprays between them. The 5 roses can each be detached and worn as individual brooches. The tiara was also made with the option of replacing the 5 diamond roses with 5 collet-set sapphires, transforming its entire colour register at will. The Duchess of York wore it for her earliest official portraits in the 1920s, pairing it low across the forehead in the fashionable headband style. After her husband became King George VI in 1936, she moved to grander tiaras befitting a queen consort, and the Strathmore Rose quietly retired. By the 1930s, it had effectively stopped appearing in public. Why did Queen Elizabeth II decline it? When she inherited the tiara in 2002, she had already been queen for 50 years. Her own tiara wardrobe was established and deeply personal. The Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, the Burmese ruby tiara. The Strathmore rose was her mother's intimate family piece from a different era, and it carried none of the ceremonial scale Elizabeth required for state occasions. It was too small, too personal, and too tied to a generation that had already passed. There has been persistent speculation online that the tiara was damaged. That rumour is directly addressed by Sir Hugh Roberts in The Queen's Diamonds. Photographs show it in excellent condition. It was not broken. It was simply never chosen. Queen Elizabeth II owned the Strathmore Rose for 20 years without ever wearing it publicly. It sat untouched until November 2023, a full century after the Queen Mother first wore it. When Catherine, the Princess of Wales, wore it to the state banquet for the South Korea state visit. Royal jewellery historian Lauren Keener of the Court Jeweller described the moment as Catherine signalling that she would like to emulate the Queen Mother's royal role. Reaching past her own era to connect directly with that personal legacy. Our final tiara is the least well known on this list, but its story is perhaps the most revealing because it illustrates most clearly how deliberately Queen Elizabeth II managed her collection. When Queen Mary died in March 1953, just 2 months before her granddaughter's coronation, she left behind an extraordinary jewellery collection. Within that bequest was a classic diamond bandeau made in 1932 by Garrard, with its centrepiece being the County of Lincoln brooch, a diamond brooch given to Queen Mary as a wedding gift in 1893. The construction is precise and formal. A bandeau of interlocking diamond patterns in platinum and gold, with the County of Lincoln brooch mounted centrally as the defining element, set entirely in brilliant cut diamonds. A typical example of the grand architectural jewellery Queen Mary favoured, built equally to project authority and historical weight. Why did Queen Elizabeth II refuse it? The answer is both simple and revealing. The diamond bandeau was Queen Mary's piece, in aesthetic, in scale, and in spirit. Queen Mary dressed to dominate a room. Her jewellery was tall, imposing, almost theatrical in its grandeur. Queen Elizabeth dressed to endure. Her choices were quieter, more personal, more restrained. Bandeau spoke the wrong visual language. Beyond the aesthetic mismatch, Elizabeth was also, by 1953, already building her own collection around pieces with direct personal meaning, the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, given to her by Queen Mary on her actual wedding day. The Vladimir tiara, which she wore until the final year of her reign. The Burmese ruby tiara, which she had commissioned entirely for herself. The diamond bandeau was an inheritance, not a choice, and Queen Elizabeth II was, above all things, a woman of deliberate choices. It remained in the royal vaults for decades until May 19, 2018, when Queen Elizabeth II loaned it to Meghan Markle for her wedding to Prince Harry at Windsor Castle. It was the tiara's first public appearance since Queen Mary herself wore it. None of these choices were careless. Queen Elizabeth II was one of the most deliberate dressers in royal history. Every tiara she wore was a considered decision, and every tiara she left in the vault was an equally considered decision. The vault was not neglected, it was curated, and the story of what she chose not to wear tells us as much about who she was as the story of what she did. Which of these 4 tiaras surprised you most? And which one do you think deserved to come out of the vault sooner? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you want more deep dives into the hidden history of royal jewellery, the pieces that were locked away, the women who wore them, and the choices that shaped the monarchy, hit subscribe right now and ring the notification bell. We are here every week, and there is so much more to uncover. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.